fantasy genre is something that is very near and dear to my heart. I was raised playing games such as The Elder Scrolls, Might and Magic, and Heroes of Might and Magic. I watched The Lord of the Rings religiously, Last Unicorn, Dark Crystal, Flight of Dragons, you just name it. So today I want to discuss some of my favorite tropes that are found within the genre. Hi, my name is Ashley Horaith, and on this channel I discuss all things fantasy related. This can vary from books, movies, music, games, you name it. If it's fantasy related, I will talk about it probably. So like I said, today I'll be discussing 5 of my favorite tropes found in the fantasy genre. I use trope very loosely because I'm not sure if some of these are considered tropes, but we're gonna go with it. Just things I like to see in fantasy, whether it be like specific creatures or story elements, you know. So right off the bat with number 1, I love anything that has like a last of their kind kind of trope. Like the Last Unicorn, for example. She's the last of her kind.
I am the only unicorn there is. The last?
The movie opens with her lamenting her sorrow about how she cannot understand how she's the only one left, the only unicorn on Earth. Another example is the Dark Crystal, with the main character Jen being the last Gelfling, or so he thinks. You know, spoiler alert, there is another Gelfling, but still, then there's still only 2. You know, I mean, it's still got that sadness. And I think that's why I like that trope. I like being sad. I like it when media makes me cry. And that is just like such a desolate thing. Like, imagine being the last of your kind, the last person on Earth. That is just so isolating and just sad. I just really love this trope so much. It seems like it's used a lot, like the Falmer in The Elder Scrolls and Skyrim. They kind of still exist, but you know, the last 2 sentient, or at least like not fucked up Falmer, the Snow Elves, you find them in the Dawnguard DLC, and they're like the last 2, and one of them's a vampire, so you know. Anyways, I just love the last of your kind kind of trope because it just fucks me up mentally. It's good. The next one is more of like a genre more than a trope. I love when horror elements mix with fantasy so much, and I can't think of any examples. And I think that's just because I haven't found a lot of media that has that or does it well. So if you have any recommendations for that, please let me know. I guess it would just be dark fantasy. Fantasy with horror elements interwoven into it. I love that. And it's just so good. The only thing I could think of is maybe like some quests in the Elder Scrolls. I keep going back to the Elder Scrolls. Trust me, it's because that I was literally raised on those games, and that's like all I have.
I'm Rena Bruyant. I love dogs. Doesn't everyone? Bye.
So you'll see me going back to the Elder Scrolls a lot. I like horror, and I'm not like a big horror person, but I love elements of it when it's in fantasy. I love spooky shit. It's good.
Wow, finally. Some good fucking food.
Okay, number 3. I'm a big vampire girly. So if you put vampires in fantasy settings, girl, I go feral. I love vampires in fantasy. And you know who does vampires the best? Fucking Elder Scrolls. That is my favorite. Okay, hold up. I love vampires, but I'm extremely picky about them. Like, I want them to be hot, but more monstrous than hot. You know, not like, I hate dogging on Twilight. I've never even seen it, but I know everybody dogs on Twilight because it's like, oh, they're just pretty. I understand the appeal, and I like them to be hot, but I also want them to have a monstrous side. I like how they're done in the Elder Scrolls. Also, The Witcher, I really like how they're done there. I just feel like the Elder Scrolls just nails vampires so well. I love how there's so many different types of them. There's different clans, so they're all different, but they're all the same, that they're all like tied to Molag Bal, and that they're like subservient to him. And I don't know, I will get into that in a later video, trust me. I just love Elder Scrolls vampires. I think they're done so well. There's like really sexy ones, or like, you know, they have a glamour, or like nobody knows that they're vampires. And there's other ones that are like super fucked up looking. They've got like bat noses and shit, and it's just, ooh, that's good. That's good shit. I love it. Okay, going back to The Last Unicorn. I don't know if this is a trope, because I can't think of another piece of media that does this. I know that it's out there, I just don't know. The trope of an immortal becoming immortal. Holy shit, The Last Unicorn. Okay, spoilers if you haven't seen The Last Unicorn. There's a lot of spoilers here. But when the unicorn gets turned into a human to evade the Red Bull by Schmendrick, that scene is so raw and just, it tears me apart. It fucked me up as a kid. Watching it back now, it's so much worse. And I love it. I love it. That scene makes me cry.
Do you hear me? You've lost her. You've trapped her in a human body. She'll go mad.
The whole idea of something that has never felt the ravages of time before, suddenly having that inflicted upon them is just, holy shit. I love it. Because it's just, imagine that. You can't imagine that because we don't know what that's like. So just like your perception of what that would be like is just, I don't know how to explain it, but I love it so much. So she becomes a human and she's just like stunned at first.
What have you done to me?
And she's just asking, what have you done to me? Very quietly, but then she goes into hysterics, understandably. And she's like, I can feel this body dying all around me. And that is just, oh my God.
I wish you had let the Red Bull take me. I wish you had left me to the harpy. I can feel this body dying all around me.
Because they would feel that. If you've never felt yourself age before and you suddenly were thrust into that, you would feel like you were slowly dying. And that, if there's any other media that y'all know of that has this trope in it, tell me. I love it. Okay, so my last one is, it's very vague, but I love when fae are in fantasy media. And I feel like they aren't given justice in most popular media. I'm not going to name a certain series, but I was very disappointed. So it goes back to the vampires. I like them to be hot like elves, you know, like that's cool. I like fae being a very broad term where there's like little fairies, or there's more elf-like looking ones, or there's like really like tree ones, the ones that look like bugs, and you know, shit like that, where they're like, they could be anything just about, as long as it's like nature-based. They're just otherworldly. I want them to be alien, basically, because I don't want them to be too human. I want them to be, you know, their own beings that are just separate from us. And it's like, yeah, they can appear human, but there's something different. You know, like they don't understand our concepts. They think things that we don't think are funny that they think are fucking hilarious. You know, shit like that. And I feel like the only example I can think of that does it well is D&D. And I don't know much about D&D other than from watching other people play it. But I really like how the fae are done there, which I think that just takes from like folklore and shit, which is good. I love the folklore. I think that's the only other example I can give is just like folklore. I love the folklore and mythology behind the fae. I just think it's super cool, and I love when they're put into media when it's done right. I feel like, not to shit on popular stuff, but I just feel like every time I've read a book, or usually it's books, but anytime I've read a book that's like, oh, it's got fae in it, and I read it and I'm like, they were so poorly done. They weren't given their full potential. You know, it's just, you slap fairy on there and you're just like, oh, they're fairies. I want them to be fucking weird. But anyways, that was 5 tropes that I really like to see in fantasy media. If you have any of your own, please let me know. Or if you have any examples of like the ones I mentioned, please let me know. Both are good. Let me know your opinions and everything. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you'd like to see more from me, I will be trying to post regularly, hopefully. I have ADHD, so it's kind of hard. Yeah, I think that's about it. Have a nice day.